Hello, welcome to this presentation on forward contracts and options. My name is Pijush and I'll take you through this short presentation. So let's begin. Forward contracts and options belong to a class of financial contracts called derivatives. A derivative is a financial contract whose value is derived from an underlying asset. What are these underlying assets? They could be foreign exchange, equity shares, interest rate contracts like bonds and money market instruments, or commodities. What are the building blocks of derivatives? We say derivatives have four building blocks. Forward contracts or forwards, futures contracts or futures, option contracts or options, and swaps. These are the four building blocks of derivatives. They can be combined and recombined to make more complex derivatives. Why do we need derivatives? To hedge our market risks, to protect ourselves, or to speculate, to trade on financial markets. Speculation using derivatives allows you leverage. What does leverage mean? You can put in a margin money of £100,000 and trade on a position of £1 million. Just to set the contract context right, what is market risk? Risk is, as you know, the chance of a loss. Market risk is the chance of a loss due to fluctuations in market prices of foreign exchange, equity shares, commodities, bonds, or money market instruments. So, what is a forward contract? A forward contract is a derivative contract that gives a person the right to buy or sell an underlying asset at a future date, at a price decided today. However, there is an obligation to perform. We'll see what this means. The contract to buy an asset in the future is called a forward purchase contract. Or you could opt for a right to sell an asset in the future. And this is called a forward sale contract. What's the need for a forward contract? Let's take the case of Vinod Sethi. He exports some goods to the UK on credit. So the UK buyer says, I will pay you in 3 months' time the £1 million. And suppose the current exchange rate is 92 rupees to the pound. How is Vinod affected? Vinod is exposed to market risk. It is possible that the pound might depreciate against the rupee. So he would like to lock in his profit margin. So he calls his bank, sells the GBP forward, and books a forward sale contract. So what did he do? He booked a forward sale contract. And that's a right and obligation to sell £1 million against INR at a price decided today, say 93. 3 months forward, say suppose today's spot is 92, the forward rate could be 93. The forward rate could be different from the spot rate. Why is this called a derivative? Remember, Vinod Sethi has booked a forward sale contract. So his contracted rate doesn't change. On the due date, the spot price could be 90 or 96. It could be any of these. So what if the spot price was 90? Vinod is very happy. Spot price is 90. He sells the pound at 93, buys it back at 90, and so he has got a profit of 3 rupees. So he is very happy. What if the pound is at 96? Very sad story. He's got to deliver at 93. He can't sell the pound at 96. And so he has a perceived loss of 3 rupees. And that is why this is called a derivative. The value of the contract is derived from the spot rate. I just want to bring you up to date. This kind of valuation of the forward contract could be done any day during the tenancy of the forward contract. And this process of valuing the contract is called mark to market. And when you do mark to market, the value of the contract depends on the spot price. That's why it's called a derivative. What are the possible outcomes after a forward contract is booked? It could be delivered on the due date, or the contract could be cancelled on the due date. Suppose his buyer has gone bankrupt. He can't deliver the pounds. So Vinod won't be able to deliver the pounds. So he's got to cancel the contract. Or the buyer says, I'll pay you 1 month later than the agreed date. So the contract may have to be extended. Or the buyer may say, I will deliver the pounds to you before the due date. So there could be an early delivery. Or there could be a cancellation of the contract before due date, or an extension of the contract before due date. Does that matter? What did I say? The contract must be honored. But here I'm cancelling early delivery, extension. Now, how does that all add up? Remember, the contract has to be delivered on the due date. If it is not delivered, if it is extended, cancelled, the person who reneges on the contract may have to pay a penalty. So, contracts have to be delivered. If not delivered, the person who's delivered, who's not adhering to the contract, may have to pay a penalty. Okay, can a contract be booked if the date of delivery is not known? Yes, that's called an option delivery. A contract can be booked for delivery between 2 dates. Say, Vinod said he expects to receive pound in May 2019, but is not sure when. So what can he do? He can always book a contract for delivery between 1st May to 31st May 2019, and the contract can be delivered on any day between the 2 dates. What are the risks from booking a forward contract? You know, the pound has been booked at 93, the forward sale at 93. Now, if the pound is at 89, Vinod is very happy. He can sell the pound at 93. And he gets a better price than the ongoing spot rates. What if the pound is at 96? Vinod is very unhappy. He has to deliver to the bank at 93. Whereas if he had not booked the contract, he could have sold it at 3 rupees better. And that's the risk of booking a forward contract. How is the forward rate computed? Is it based on expectation of what will be the future spot rates? Never. It's based on a simple rule. And I'll tell you about that rule. Say today's spot rate is 1 pound is equal to 90 rupees. And the 1 year interest rate on pounds is 3% and 1 year interest rate on rupees is 8%. And you are required to quote a forward price pound to rupee. Now, pound, 1 year interest rate is 3%, 1 year interest rate is 8% on rupee. Do you perceive an opportunity? Yes. You could borrow 1 million pounds at 3%, convert it into rupees at 90 and invest for 8%. Imagine you've locked in a 5% gain. And so how do you lock this in? You book a forward contract at possibly the same spot rate, and so you've made a clean profit of 5%. But is that allowed? Well, if you can see that profit margin of 5%, everyone else can see the profit margin. So there will be a demand for forward pounds. People will want to book forward pounds. And so the pound appreciates in the forward market, not on the spot. So how do we quote a forward rate? 1 pound is equal to spot rate into 1 plus INR interest rate divided by 1 plus pound interest rate. And that works out to 94.37. It's 5% higher. So 1 pound, it could be expressed in the following way. 1 pound, 1 year forward rate, spot price, plus for the forward difference. And what's the forward difference? 4.37. So the forward price for 1 year pound to rupee is 94.37. Could the forward rate be calculated in a simpler way? Yes. The forward difference is a function of the interest rate differential. Spot rate into interest rate differential. So 90 into 5% is 4.5 rupees. That's like 4.37 we calculated on the previous slide. Hence the forward rate could be 90 plus 4.5 or 90 minus 4.5. That's 85.5. Which is the correct answer? Now we have another rule. The currency bearing the lower interest rate is always at a premium in the forward market. So if the pound has to be at a premium, you have to add the forward difference. And so the correct rate is 90 plus 4.5 is 94.5. Now, what is the payoff from a forward purchase contract? Meaning, what is the risk profile from a forward purchase contract? Now, if you look at this graph, the value of the forward contract increases as the spot price increases. So you have unlimited profits as spot prices rise. So the spot prices are shown on the x-axis and the valuation of the contract is shown on the y-axis. As prices increase, you have scope for unlimited profits. But what happens if the prices fall? You have scope for unlimited losses. So what is the risk profile? Unlimited profits, unlimited losses. What is the payoff from a forward sale position? Well, a forward sale works slightly differently. You have booked a forward contract at 93, and if spot prices fall, you benefit. So as spot prices fall, you benefit. So unlimited losses if spot prices rise and unlimited profits if spot prices fall. So even a forward sale contract you have unlimited losses and unlimited profits. Now let's look at option. What is an option? An option is a contract to buy or sell an underlying asset at a future date at a price decided today. How is it different? It looks like our forward contract. How is it different from the forward contract? Well, an option confers a right, but you have no obligation to deliver. You don't have to perform. Hence, unlike forward contracts, options need not be delivered. You have no obligation to deliver, to perform. And so, you have no right to perform and no need to perform, but you have the right. Why is there? Is it a free lunch? No. Unlike forward contracts, which are free, in option contracts, you have to pay a price. You have to pay a premium. And we'll see how that works. What are some of the option terms? An option contract to buy is called a call option. An option contract to sell is a put option. The option buyer, he always buys a call option or buys a put option. Buying a call option confers the right to buy the underlying asset, but not the obligation. Buying a put option confers the right to sell the underlying asset, but not the obligation. Your counterparty, the option writer, sells the right to the option buyer, but he has an obligation. Some other option terms: the contract rate is called the exercise price or the strike price. This is the rate at which you buy or sell the underlying asset. The future date is called the expiration. And remember, the buyers of options have to pay a price, and that price is called the premium. Usually it is 2 to 5% of the principal amount. How is the strike rate decided? In an option contract, let's take Vinod Sethi again. Remember, Vinod expects to receive £1 million in 3 months' time, and he wants to hedge his position. So, if he is using an option, he should buy a put option, the right to sell the pounds at a future date. So he will buy a GBP put INR call 3 months. Suppose the current spot rate is 92. What can be the strike rate? There's one major difference between forward contracts and options. There can be only one forward rate for a given maturity, but an option can have multiplicity of strike prices. He can choose any of the strike prices. Let's see how this works. Say the strike price spot price is 92. Vinod Sethi can choose his strike price to be better than the spot rate, 95, and that's called an in-the-money option. Or he could choose his strike price to be 92, and that's called an at-the-money option. Or he could choose the strike price which is worse than the spot rate, say 90, and that's called an out-of-the-money option. Why would somebody choose a strike price worse than the spot rate? That means he's booking a put option worse than the spot rate. That's because the spot rate is 90 and the spot rate is 90. Why would somebody choose a strike price worse than the spot rate? That means he's booking a put option worse than the spot rate. That means he's booking a put option worse than the spot rate. That's because the spot rate is 90 and the spot rate is 90. That's because It's cheaper. Cheaper than in the money contract, cheaper than at the money contract. So, in the money contracts will be pricier than at the money contracts and out of the money contracts. Now let's look at exercise of the option. Remember, the buyer of the option has a right but not the obligation. So delivery of an option is called exercise of the option. And you remember, the buyer of an option has the right to exercise, but may not exercise the option. Seller of the writer of the option is obliged to the buyer of the option. If he demands delivery, the seller or writer has to deliver the contract. So when does one exercise an option? Remember when Vinod Sethi has purchased a GBP put INR call at 92, and that was at the same spot rate. So it's at the money option. So at expiration, the spot rates can be 95 out of the money. Vinod Sethi will not exercise the contract because his strike price is 92. He will not exercise, he is not obligated to exercise, and he will sell the pound at the spot price of 95. The spot price could be at 92. So Vinod Sethi may exercise the contract because his strike price is equal to the spot price. What if the spot price is at 88? Vinod Sethi will exercise the contract. This is an in-the-money contract. He will sell the pound at 92 because 92 is better than 88. There are three different kinds of options based on the timing of the exercise. If an option can be exercised only at expiration, that's called a European option. If an option can be exercised at any time during the tenancy of the contract, that's called an American option. If it can be exercised on predetermined dates, that's called a Bermuda option. How does the option, how does it work? Option premium. Remember, the buyer has to pay an option premium to the writer. This is called the premium. So suppose Vinod Sethi bought the GBP put at 92. When the spot price is at 92, this is an at-the-money option. The option premium might cost 5% or 4.67. So what if Vinod Sethi bought an in-the-money option, say at 93 with a spot price at 92? Remember, it's a right to sell. A put option is a right to sell. He gets a right to sell at 93 and the spot price is at 92. So he has a benefit of 1 rupee. So what will be the option price? Remember, if it is an at the money option, that will be 4.67. And because he's locked in a profit of 1 rupee, he has to pay that. So 4.67 plus 1, that's 5.67. So an option premium consists of two components. The intrinsic worth, which is the difference between the spot price and the strike price, if there is a benefit, and the time value, that is 4.67. Together the two components makes for the option premium. So two components, time value, intrinsic worth. What is the payoff from an option? Well, the answer is option buyers have unlimited profit but limited loss. They only lose their premium if it is an out of the money option. But if it's an in the money option, they have scope for unlimited profits. Option writers, just the opposite. They have limited profit and unlimited loss. Let's see how this works. Suppose you've got a call on a share. That's called a long call. The strike price is 100 on the long call and your premium is 10. Now what happens? Remember, as prices rise, if you have a call option, your contract becomes in the money. And as prices rise further, you will have scope for unlimited profits. But what if the prices fall? If prices fall, your contract becomes out of the money. But don't worry, what you lose is only the premium. So limited loss. So what is the payoff? Unlimited profits, limited losses. Now, just want to show what is the break-even rate. Now you know this long call, strike at 100, that means one can take delivery of the share at 100. So technically, you can take delivery of the contract at 100. And suppose the price is 110. So your intrinsic worth is 10. You can buy it at 100. You can sell it at 110. So you made a profit of 10. But remember, you had to pay a premium of 10. So your break even is 110. Only after 110 you begin to make profits. And how is that depicted? On the x-axis you have prices of the share. And on the y-axis you have the profit and loss. So remember, when prices fall, you have limited profits. But when prices rise, you have when prices fall, you have limited loss. When prices rise, you have unlimited profits. That's the risk profile of a long call option. What about payoff from a short call option? Well, you know, if prices rise, you have to deliver the share to the buyer of the call option, whatever be the price. And so you have unlimited losses. But if the contract is out of the money, you know, you don't have to deliver. And so your only gain is the option premium. So limited profit, unlimited losses for a short call option. What about a long put strike at 100 where you pay a premium of 10? Now let's look at it. You know, when prices fall, you're in the money. And if the prices fall further, you have scope for unlimited profits. But when prices rise, the contract is out of the money. And what you lose? Only the option premium. So as spot prices fall, the put option becomes in the money, scope for unlimited profits. As prices rise, put option becomes out of the money, buyer does not exercise the option, only loses the premium. So limited loss. Payoff from a long put, as you can see, you have limited loss. Prices are on the x-axis. You have limited loss when prices rise. But when prices fall, you have scope for unlimited profits. What about the writer of a call option? His risk profile is just the opposite. limited gain when prices rise, but unlimited losses when prices fall. What affects the price of an option? Generally, options are priced through the Black-Scholes pricing model. Nowadays, there are other pricing models. And the price, and when I say price, don't take it to be the strike price. It is the premium. And it depends upon the tenor of the option, the ongoing spot rate, the interest rates on the two legs, the interest rates of the two currencies, and volatility of the exchange price. Volatility is measured by standard deviation. And this, to my mind, is the most important component of an option price. What derivative should you use? Say, you are expecting to receive £1 million in 2 months' time. Your consultant has advised you that the pound will appreciate against the dollar. You believe that this consultant is right. So what is the most appropriate hedge? Do nothing. Keep the position open. When the pound rises, you can sell it at a higher price. But what if your consultant said that the pound will depreciate against the dollar? What kind of hedge? Obviously, you'll book a forward sale contract. So when it's certain, either the pound will appreciate, then do nothing. If the pound is certain to depreciate, book a forward sale contract. But what if your consultant says the direction of the GBP is uncertain? What hedge? The answer is book an option. In this case, a put option. Uncertainty, options. Certainties, book a forward or do nothing. What is the best outcome in an option? For the hedger, for the speculator. Remember, the value of an option contract at expiration is indicated by its moneyness, whether it's in the money, at the money, or out of the money. What is the best outcome if you have hedged your transaction? The best outcome is out of the money. Why? Suppose you have a call option. The spot rate would be lower than the strike price. And so, instead of buying at the strike price, you can buy it at a much lower rate than the strike price. And that's why a call option out of the money is a better outcome. If it's a put option, the spot price will be higher than the strike price. So you can sell at a much higher rate than the strike price because you do not exercise the option. So always, for a hedger, out of the money situation is the best outcome for a hedger. But for a speculator, remember, he cannot deliver. He only takes the difference. So the best outcome is that the contract should be in the money. Okay, now I want to briefly take you through futures. Futures are exactly like forward contracts that allow the holder to buy or sell an underlying asset at a future date at a contracted price which is decided now and obligation to perform exactly like forward contracts. However, what is the difference? Futures are exchange traded contracts, unlike forward contracts which are OTC contracts. What does an exchange traded contract mean? Your counterparty is always an exchange market which is backed by the government, and you can actually see what your prices are being done. And futures are generally standardized contracts. What is an interest rate? Swap. A swap is an exchange of cash flows. The most common type of interest rate swap is a fixed to floating rate deal in which payments by one party is based on a fixed interest rate and the compensating payment is based on a variable or floating interest rate. One pays fixed and receives floating, and vice versa. The floating rate is reset periodically against a benchmark interest rate called the LIBOR. Why would you use an interest rate swap? Just a bit of background. International financial markets, there are two kinds of interest rates: a floating interest rate and a fixed interest rate. So if you think that interest rates are going to rise, so you will take a fixed interest rate. Say you have taken a fixed interest rate for 5 years. After 1 year, the scenario changes and you expect interest rates to fall. And if you want to benefit from a fall in interest rate, you have to swap from a fixed interest rate to a floating rate interest rate. You can do through interest rate swaps. And you have a cross-currency swap. What is a cross-currency interest rate swap? It's basically cash flows in one currency are exchanged on regular dates for cash flows in another currency. The principal amounts are normally exchanged at the spot rate at the start of the swap and then re-exchanged at the same rate on the final date. The interest payments can be calculated on fixed or floating rate basis. Why would you use a cross-currency swap? Say you have borrowed in pound sterling, but you want to use the money in India. So in India you can't use pounds. You've got to convert it into rupees. But if you convert it in rupees, when you have to repay the loan, you have to convert it back into pound. And that's where you face an exchange risk. But you could do without an exchange risk. How? Use a cross-currency swap. You sell the pound at the spot rate and buy it back at the same spot rate at a future date. That's a cross-currency swap. So, summarizing, derivatives are contracts whose value is derived from spot prices of underlying assets. Forward contracts confer a right to buy or right to sell with obligation. And the risk profile is unlimited losses, unlimited profits. They are OTC contracts. Options confer the rights to buy or sell an underlying asset, but without obligation. Options are both OTC as well as exchange-traded contracts. Their risk profile is limited loss, unlimited profits for the buyers of options, and limited gain and unlimited losses for the writers of the options. Thank you.